It's awesome to have you join me once again on the Independent Television Nigeria Decides live studios, where we interrogate the electoral process and looking at updates coming from the various correspondents. And of course, you agree with me, looking at what INEC said concerning the start or commencement of the election, which was noted for 8:30 a.m. and expected to be concluded at 2:30 p.m. But well, reports that have been churning out from various polling units and late arrival of election materials and of course electoral officials really show that 2:30 p.m. is just a thing of impossibility in most polling units, because we witnessed the arrival of election materials at later times, like at 11, 12 noon, and even some places even beyond that. So the big question will be, when will election be concluded in some polling units where it started so late? And we also got reports, got updates on some units where there was unchecked violence, like in some units in Owedo in Edo State, Benin. There were unchecked violence, and looking at that, what transpired, could it be as a result of some political party not comfortable with the numbers or voting patterns that wasn't favorable to it? And what could be the reason for the unchecked violence? We understand that we have over 425,000 police security operatives, particularly, has been said by the Inspector General Police across the country, and that is aside the security operatives from the military and of course NSCDC. And if we are to put this together, then questions will be asked about how come in some units we have unchecked violence. How come in some areas where you have to drive, it's like you are driving on a lone road, unchecked by any military official or security operatives, just like a free-for-all? What could be the reason for this? And looking at this, we're going to be interrogating the process, like I said earlier. And my name is Philip Omo. And in this segment, I have with me an array of legal practitioners. I really would say that it's an act of coincidence, but we're going to be interrogating the process, probably putting a bit of technicalities of the law. As custodians of the law, they will basically be putting a voice on this in checking such technicalities. Starting from my immediate left, I have an articulate legal practitioner in the person of Greg Iyayi. Thanks for coming, Greg.
Good evening, viewers, and congratulations for Nigeria Decides.
And next to him is another custodian of the law in the person of Alakwe Mbanefo. Thanks for coming, Alakwe.
Thank you very much.
And next to him is another articulate custodian of the law, and he is Emmanuel Obakbolo. Thanks for coming, Emmanuel.
It's a pleasure being here.
Well, I think it's been a long road, and some say that this election will be a watershed. And looking at what has been transpiring so far, the check against vote buying in some units, even in Lagos State, Greg, we heard reports where even the anti-graft agencies were intercepting some suspects who are also, according to them, are in their custodies over vote buying. And again, we have the challenge where unchecked violence took place in some parts of the states, even in Imo, where it was said that basically most of the communities never had an opportunity to exercise their franchise as a result of non-appearance of election materials nor electoral officials. So what do you make of this challenge as it's been posed to the electoral process today?
It's very worrisome. Worrisome in the sense that a democratic process is only credible if the maximum number of people possible actually participate in it, and then it is free and fair. A situation where some people are disenfranchised by election materials not arriving, election officials not appearing. I mean, there is room for suspicion. And I believe we took many things for granted that we should have passed this goal post. But unfortunately, it's rarely his head. But not to worry. I believe generally from all parts of the country, the news has been fairly good. I don't intend to score INEC because the election has not been concluded. But I'm also glad too that INEC graciously and wisely decided to extend the voting periods to make up for the periods that the election materials and officials did not arrive. I know there might be logistics problem, human problems, fifth columnists at work, beyond their control. But I'm glad that they have extended the voting periods for those areas so that they will not be disenfranchised. Then, in the area of vote buying, I think the security agencies, anti-graft agencies, have done enough campaign, and some of them have been on grounds. They cannot be everywhere. We must understand because they are limited in manpower. They are limited also in communication. So, but for what the situation is and what they have to work with, I think they have not done very badly. I will also say too that the issue of vote buying that will almost becoming an open market in most elections, I think it has come down very considerably. Then for violence, I always ask some politicians, if you are sure that you are popular and that you have the mandate of your people, why fight or why send people to fight? So I believe those who are worrying and who are fighting are those that feel that they are losing. And if you lose, does the war come to an end? It hurts. According to Jimmy Carter, a former US president, he said it hurts to lose. He said, but I choose, even with the hurt, to respect the process because it is better. So I want to encourage them and appeal very seriously. I know some of them have put in a lot of work, a lot of man hours, a lot of money, a lot of effort, but tomorrow could be your day. If you don't win today, it doesn't mean that you will never win. And they don't send people to shed their blood. We have an example in President Jonathan, who lost the highest office in the land. And he said he would rather lose than allow one drop of blood to be shed. It's not from America. It's not from other climes. As he said, I am one of you. Let us follow his example, be inspired by it, and take election not really as a do or die matter. And then eschew violence. Don't make somebody a widow. Don't make somebody a widower. Don't make somebody an orphan. Just to fulfill your electoral ambition. I'm not sure you will enjoy it.
Thank you. Let's take your reaction to this aspect of unchecked violence. And just now, some hours back, reports were on over some units in Oedo, in Benin, where there was violence, and the electoral officials took to their heels. Ballot boxes scattered around, littering ballot papers, and some have asked the question: where were the presence, or where is the presence of security operatives? I don't know, but some again are also saying that this could be another political angle, to scuttle the process where you have shortages or non-availability of election materials in some polling units. And engaging that from what the INEC chairman said while briefing the media on the National Coalition Center, he obviously told the press about the challenges, perennial challenges that led to the development of the cash crisis and not being able to get the entire amount from the CBN, but was able to also clarify that the CBN gave them substantial amount. But he staggered to say that the challenges that they are faced with just now over the aspect of late arrival of election materials to units as a result of the perennial issues that we are faced with in respect of the cash crunch. What do you make of this along these lines?
Yeah, the matter is very simple. You know, like my late colleague just said here, we thank God Almighty that first of all, at the end of the day, the federal government lived up to their bidding of ensuring that the election took place on the 25th of February 2023. Because before now, there have been insinuations from different quarters an election may not hold, that it may be postponed, and that it may not be realistic and all that. But finally, we thank God that we saw a day like this when the election took place. However, having said that, I want to submit that the issue of pockets of violence in most units, that of Oredo was quite unfortunate and unacceptable. Oredo, like you know, is the headquarters of Edo State. And from where these things are happening to government house, it's just a few meters to the government house and a few meters to the commissioner's office. And the governor, like you know, is the chief security officer of the state. And since yesterday morning, there have been the boys along Forestry Road shooting gun, Forestry, Mission, Ababa, Lagos Street. Some boys have been shooting since yesterday morning till up to 4 o'clock yesterday.
Yes.
I expected that the Commissioner of Police would have taken note of that and then ensure that all police units in that particular area is well protected today. But that did not happen. Then most worrisome was the fact that most of the police units in Oredo, like the report have said here since morning, was not having any police presence in such a very important election that have to do with National Assembly and that of presidency. And so, looking at how much the federal government spends on security vote, the governor has no excuse to give why there should be no sufficient officers at these police units in a day like this. What are they doing with the money? And so,
is it the governor or the electoral umpire?
The governor of the state receives security votes monthly. And in a day, and the governor of every state, not only those states, is the chief security officer of that state. And where there is violence of this nature, the governor should be held
expenses of election matters.
So I'm
captured by that in the the one you talked about concerning security votes.
The point I'm making is that there is negligence on the side of the police and the state government on the issue of security. INEC is only to provide their workers and as well, provide the logistics for the election. It is the IGO police that provides security. So, far from being the chief security officer of the state, the IG2 is the person that ought to have instructed the CP of the state to ensure that proper security is provided. So that aspect of security cannot be pushed down to INEC.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Let me cut in quickly as we're having Charles from Lagos State joining us. Good evening, Charles.
Okay, good evening. Good evening to you.
Okay, Charles, can you please tell us situation reports from your location?
Okay, well, first, I'm here in Lagos. I'm also a broadcaster. Of course, we also cover INEC matters and all that. In Lagos, quite peaceful conduct. I should tell you over the Benin City, quite peaceful. Apart from a couple of places where you have hitches resulting from hoodlums, cutting away ballot boxes, and of course also shooting into the air. Specifically, when I took place in the Suluri Aguda area, where some thugs came in a minivan and they were shooting into the air, and people were scampering for safety. And because people were running away, so they had to cut away those ballot boxes around Suluri area. We also had another area in Oshodi Solo where allegedly FC Oromo was threatening other ethnic groups not to vote in a particular polling unit. In Ikate area is on the island, that's around the Lekki, after Lekki area, where hoodlums also came and snatched away ballot boxes from very close to a palace of one the Obas over there. So, but generally it was peaceful. But again, another downer. What we said that INEC officials didn't arrive almost everywhere that we visited, both in the adjoining communities in Ogun State. The INEC officials did not arrive earlier enough. Some places they arrived at about 11:04, 11:07, some of them 10:45. There was even a place called Aton. Aton is in Adodo, local government, very close to Lagos State here, where this ad hoc staff, the youth corps were complaining that they had not been placed at that time. Because of that, they were not ready to go to their respective places of assignment. But we intervened, and their supervisor was able to talk to them and all that. So they got some money, and then they also were redeployed. But in some places, also on that area, where other people, the distribution of INEC materials was a problem because there were no vehicles to take all these materials to other areas. So there was this allegation that they were able using party agents to now distribute, which of course you know what that means for party agents to be distributing sensitive material, and which of course that's also a down now. Then somewhere again around the Fako Jaji area in Lagos, we also learned that some INEC officials there, they were stranded after voting had been cast, and they've been counted where they are going to go to the center where they need to compute the result where it will be fed into the INEC server. There were no vehicles to take them over there. They were stranded at the time that I had that report. So generally it was peaceful apart from those few areas that I told you there were skirmishes and gunshots and all that. But so far nobody has lost his or her life. It's been peaceful. The turnout has been very massive here in Lagos State.
Thank you very much. I was about to ask you about the numbers, if it was really massive, and thank you for your very, very exhaustive account in that regard. But you spoke about some skirmishes in some polling units where ballot boxes were snatched, and we want to interrogate what are the numbers like in terms of security operatives' presence.
Okay, well, security operatives, okay, first of all, let me just use the opportunity to say thank you to the security operatives that were deployed to Lagos State. They were of best behavior. I think this is about the best time. This is about the time that we have officials, leaders, security agencies behaving. They were in their best today, and I give kudos to them. I'm sure that they must have been briefed of what to do, how to also, because most of them just remained there. They were not talking, they were watching, and they were of best behavior, as I said. Now, as for the numbers, we will have pretty enough members, sometimes 2, 3, and so on for each unit, the polling unit that we went to. So, which of course tells you that they have quite a number of them over here and other. So, but where you have that's where I told you earlier at Aguda area, where I can't remember the polling unit now and the ward where you had these gunshots into the air. If some policemen they were there because they were not armed, they had to run for their life, and one of them, the resident had to give that person a cloth to wear for because he had to undress, remove his uniform in order to be identified, and then for fear of being shot. So apart from that, I think it was a good thing. The number of policemen and women deployed for this election purposes quite well, as I said. Okay. Some polling units you have 2, some 3, and all that. That's how it went here.
Thank you, Charles. If you covered, we want to get an account of where the governor voted, the governor of Lagos State. If you covered that,
yes.
If you did, do you have reports?
Yes, he actually voted, but I voted around the Ikeja, that's where he voted. When he arrived with his eldest daughter and his wife. They voted over there, and some other party members. They voted. At the time he voted, it was pretty around about that 10 o'clock, quite early, without hitches. I mean, a lot of journalists were there, both the electronics and the print media were there. So one thing he said that gladdened the heart of everyone was that if it happens that he doesn't win the election, he said we will congratulate whoever wins this election free and fair, as long as there are no hanky-panky. If anybody emerges, winner in this election, presidential election, and it is deemed to have been free and fair, he said he is ready to congratulate the election winner. But if If he does win, then he will now have time to now begin to articulate what he has in stock for Nigerians regarding his manifesto and all that, and he's going to ensure that Nigerians they get the best out of his government.
Okay, Charles, for the last lap, let's get your report concerning the functionality of beavers in the areas you covered.
Well, beavers, because people, that's also kudos to party, for most of the parties. You know, Lagos, of course, Lagos is not a rural area, so, and because of the level of education here, level of awareness, a lot of people were schooled on this issue of beaver. And I also want to say that thank to ANEC that those people they brought in here, they were also well trained on issues of beaver. Not unlike, earlier I spoke with Kanayo. Of course, you know him. He spoke with us because then I was on radio. He spoke with us from his place at Imo Stadium. They said that where he said even the INEC official that were, that's the other staff that were, that was posted to his village. Was not trained on the use of beaver. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know that he was going to sign those forms to validate them. But in Lagos, it's not like that at all. The beavers, apart from the ward where the police unit where the wife of Asiwaju, that's Senator Oluremi Tinubu voted, where she had problems earlier initially, but I think that was quickly put to order, and then the beavers now recognize that. Then we also found Kate Henshaw, Nollywood actress, who also had problem with the beavers not recognizing her name. Her name pasted on the wall, and every other record that INEC record actually recognized her name, but beavers rejected her. So apart from those two areas, the beavers actually, the use of beavers actually is, for me, I think it's a game changer in this election.
Okay, can you say, lastly, can you say a report on if there will be still election holding in some units as we speak?
Yes, for instance, in Lekki, there's a place in Lekki as at about 20 minutes ago, INEC officials were nowhere to be found.
Wow.
Nowhere to be found, and they had up to about 300 persons waiting for them. But they have resolved to say that even they come at 6 o'clock, they are ready to vote into the night. So that's how desperate they are over there. After 20 minutes, 25 minutes ago, but INEC officials were nowhere to be found somewhere around Lekki area. So that's it. But apart from that, I think every other place went on smoothly.
Thank you very much for that exhaustive account once again, Charles.
Thank you, my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, you just got that from Charles, Lagos State, telling us about the development and, of course, updates. And we also have this situation where in Edo INEC says Esan West, Esan Central, and Igweben Federal Constituency House of Representative election has been postponed following errors on the ballot papers. I repeat, following errors on the ballot papers. And INEC correspondent Wellington Akolija reports that the election is slated to hold on the same day with the governorship and the House of Assembly elections, which basically is March 11 come next month. Well, Alakwe, what do you have to say over all of this development?
Yes, let me wrap it up by saying that on the issue of, take you back to your initial question,
okay.
Earlier question. So, on the issue of arrival of materials, INEC materials and all that, that also goes a long way to show how unprepared Nigerian government can be most of the times. You see, this election has been fixed. Nigerian government is aware that election will hold every 4 years. And after the second coming of Buhari, the next election is another 4 years. And then the 4 years thereafter, what could bring logistic problems to this election? We have INEC commissioner here in Edo State, who by now ought to have probably gone around the state to know with his men where each polling unit is. And then the issue of transportation ought not to be a problem.
But don't forget what the INEC chairman said, like I said earlier, when he was addressing the press, the media, at the level of the National Coalition Center. He made it clear that the challenges of cash crunch, are also culminated into the hiccups that they witnessed. But again, he also made it clear that substantial amount of money was already been paid by CBN as they requested for.
Yes.
And underlining substantial, I think
yes,
Nigerians or the electorate expected that that amount should have taken care of all of these hitches.
Yes, the point remains that we are never prepared for anything. And for a country to grow as a nation, we must take certain things very, very seriously. And of course, you know that no excuse is good enough for failure. No excuse is good enough for failure. The INEC Commissioner, Edo State, has no reason to tell us why there should be late arrival of materials at any polling unit. The INEC Commissioner has no reason to tell us why police officers are not at any of the polling units, to at least to protect lives of people coming there to vote and ensure that the process ends very, very well. Unfortunately, we don't do all of this. Again, you are aware that it's only at national level that we probably have a permanent staff for INEC. And most of the people that you use in elections are ad hoc staffs that are being recruited maybe 1 month to elections. Nigeria is a very rich country. We have all it takes to at least have some permanent staff in each of the states that will take care of all these logistics, so that at the end of the day, when any election year, we won't have all these hiccups. We can't be complaining on a daily basis.
Thank you.
On the issue that we can take care of.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Emmanuel, let's look at this challenge of unchecked violence, and I want your bite on this, because Nigerians expect that INEC and, of course, the federal government should at least live up to its words of saying that this election would be something different as compared to the previous. Now we are hearing ballot boxes being snatched in spite of the development or intrusion or introduction or inception. I don't know how to say it, but you understand what I mean.
Beavers.
In spite of the introduction of beavers, all that came with beavers, the promises, the hopes, the integrity, and all that that were wrapped with it. We expected that at least that can check against ballot boxes snatching. What do you make of this different development?
For me, I am not surprised with what we are hearing just now, because INEC made us to understand that there is this magnetic synergy between it and the security agencies. That was what they made us to understand. And oftentimes, we have used this platform to call on INEC to ensure that the promises they have made to Nigerians, that these promises are kept. One, Philip, INEC officials, the chairman of INEC and INEC officials are Nigerians, for goodness sake. They are not foreigners. And if this election is successful, the praises will not go to you, Philip. The praises will not go to the panel seated here. The praises will go to INEC, particularly the chairman of INEC and the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who just now promised Nigeria that this election will be free, fair, and credible. For goodness sake, there is no room for excuses just now. Because if you look at the whole situation, INEC told us that they were ready. I remember in November, they said they were ready. People raised this question. People began to ask questions. INEC said, we were ready. In December, INEC repeated it. We were ready. In January, even when there was this CBN Naira policy knocking on the faces of every Nigerian rather, and people began to ask questions. I hope this is not a ploy to see that this election does not go smoothly. INEC came out to give us hope, to raise the hope of Nigerians by saying, we are ready. And here we are today. The D-Day has gone.
But again, don't you think it's too early for you to make that assessment or make a judgment or a performance of INEC?
Am I the one making the judgment?
Because we still have figures coming in and we still have reports coming in.
You were
and substantially, we've heard reports where it was said that polling units where election held or is holding has been pretty safe.
Like my learned friend said,
pretty safe.
Is there any excuse for failure? The answer is an emphatic no. Philip, now we have reports of insecurity, attacks here and there. The question now is why? Who is not doing his job? That is the question. Who is not doing his job? And if XYZ is not doing his job, who has been arrested for not doing his job, or who will be arrested for not doing his job? These are questions to be asked. And you and I know that after today, the thing will die low. Nobody will ask any question. Instead, we will keep having inconclusive. I hope that INEC is not toying towards the path of inconclusive elections just now, because already we are beginning to see the signs of it. But be it as it may, I think I want to also congratulate Nigerians who for themselves, by themselves, with themselves, have taken the step of coming out to ensure that they want to vote. Just now in your report we saw, even in the rain, Nigerians were still there. People brought out their umbrellas. Some were using basin. Some were using some things, God knows how, to ensure that they cover their head and to vote. That is to tell you that Nigerians are aware and are prepared for these elections.
Thank you.
But but INEC is now trying to discourage Nigerians. That we will not entertain. We want that INEC knows that by the last election that was conducted in 2019, INEC knew that in 4 years' time there was going to be another election. Are we saying that 4 years is not enough to prepare for this election?
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Just in case, for those watching, and we also want to get your reports, eyewitness reports, and you quickly churn that as a short message or images that you want to also share with us. Share them on the number 0807 777 0300.